And that's where I think President Trump, has made a mistake, I think, with the tariff policy. And so I think Democrats could be well poised to capitalize on that issue if prices start going up. But I think in the meantime, they're getting distracted by these other battles, which are not winning them any favors among the general public.
We're asking the question, what does the future look like for the Democratic Party? The vice chair of the Democratic National Committee, David Hogg, has a radical suggestion. Get rid of your Chuck Schumers and Nancy Pelosi's and make way for a new generation of younger, invigorated leaders. Well, unsurprisingly, his comments have caused a bit of a stir within the party. And I'm joined now by Jim Kennedy, former press secretary for Bill and Hillary Clinton and Democratic strategist. Jim, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Jim, what do you make of what David Hogg has been saying, that the Democratic Party needs to get rid of some of the old guard, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and actually start introducing new blood into the front line of politics?
Well, what's kind of crazy about it is that he's a vice chair of the party, so it's kind of remarkable that he would sort of be saying that. There's no question you need new leadership, and it is time to sort of look to the future. But he's in a position of responsibility now, helping lead the party, and you don't start trashing the people who do lead the party along the way. So I think that was a mistake on his part.
But how would you signal your intent if you are trying to move these people along and perhaps these people don't want to be moved along? Chuck Schumer, I'm sure, is very happy being where he is, and so is Nancy Pelosi. How do you signal where the party wants to go next?
Well, there's plenty of room to recruit some new blood around the country and new ideas. They don't need not just new people, but new ideas. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of room to do that without really going after people who are already there. So I think there's a lot of room for maneuvering there. Listen, there's no question the party was in a funk after the election. It really felt like a landslide, even though technically it wasn't one. Now they've started to get some newfound energy. But the problem, I think, is the energy is focused on people and issues which are really not going to be the key to victory in 2028. That's part of the problem.
What do you think they're focusing on, and where do you think their focus should be?
Well, I think they're focusing too much on battling against the anti-woke movement, supporting the universities, fighting on immigration. Those are really problematic issues from a general public point of view. I think the economy really should be the number one issue, and that's where I think President Trump, has made a mistake, I think, with the tariff policy. And so I think Democrats could be well poised to capitalize on that issue if prices start going up. But I think in the meantime, they're getting distracted by these other battles, which are not winning them any favors among the general public.
Jim, it's an unfamiliar governing system for us, because we always have an official opposition. So the voice of the opposition in the UK is very much heard. It feels like, and perhaps I have got this wrong because I'm not as involved in US politics, but it feels like the opposition is very difficult to be heard right now. So the Democratic Party, perhaps it feels like to outsiders, don't really have a voice right now. We don't hear that pushback to some of Donald Trump's policies, particularly when, as you said, the economy being a strong one.
That's true. We don't have a singular voice, and we really shouldn't have one at this early stage. I think it is a little too early for that. The question for the party is, are we repeating 1979 or 1989? And both those years, we were in bad shape as a party. In 79, we ended up going on to lose 3 presidential elections in a row. But in 89, we really kind of coalesced around, ultimately, Bill Clinton. But that didn't take until 1991 when that started to happen. So there is time to find the new leader for the next generation of the party. So hopefully we're in, the party for its sake is in 1989 mode and not 1979.
But from what you've said, you think it's a little bit too early to have that one focal point. And some may argue, well, whoever it's going to be a new voice, it's going to be a new person. George Clooney, for example, has been saying that the Maryland governor, Wes Moore, could be the next Barack Obama. Well, for many Americans, those people are complete unknowns. Don't you need to start early as possible and give these people a big run-up to familiarize themselves with the American electorate?
I don't think you need that much time. You also don't want to peak too soon. I think the problem with going out too early is you end up being the number one person for a while, then you end up ultimately falling. So I think that could be a mistake. The question is not so much getting somebody right now. The question is laying the groundwork for 2 or 3 years from now. And that, I think, really should be focused on the issues. And also, the other problem is I think the party is spending too much time focusing on President Trump. He's not going to be on the ballot in 2028.
Well,
And we want to win. We want to win some of the voters who voted for him. So we shouldn't be spending too much time going after him. We really need to look to the future.
well, people like Steve Bannon are focusing on putting Donald Trump on that ballot, but I suppose that is a conversation for another day. Just finally, before we go, Jim, what's going to come first? That focal point leader for the Democrats, or what the Democratic Party's direction is going to be? Are they going to figure out where they want to go and then pick the appropriate candidate, or are they going to look to a candidate first who then takes the party to where they think it should be going?
I think the message should be first, and it may well be on the economy. The economy is either going to go up or down. If it goes down, that's going to put them in a really good position to both take back the House and maybe the Senate in next year, and then set the stage for 2028. So I think message comes first, and then you find the right messenger.
Jim, thank you for giving us your time. I really appreciate it, and happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter to you. Thank you.
Jim Kennedy there, former press secretary for Bill and Hillary Clinton and Democratic strategy.
It's right over there. Right behind the resolute Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left. And he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades. Unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. Trade is not fair. He said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left in the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was